Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Faerie Conclave. This is episode 110. I'm your host, Alec. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm super excited to be joined by an extra special guest. It's Bugs. How are you doing today, Bugs?
I am doing fantastic. Oh my god. Thank you so much for having me. And at the head of this, I use any pronouns. They, them is great. But yeah, doing good.
Good. Yeah, I'm excited to have you. And yeah, I wanted to say I thought it was cute that I kind of met you on Twitter when we bonded about both playing Rakdos Lord of Riot's decks. And I just thought that was so fun. And then as we were talking about that, I was just like, do you want to come be on a podcast? So I'm happy. I'm happy you said yes.
Yeah, no, that was super great. And because we were also kind of nerding out about cutting things for power, cutting power for flavor, and I'm like, oh, okay, I like the way that I like the way that you think about Magic. I think that this is going to be some good.
Same, yeah. Yeah, and I love when people talk about that and aren't just like there's so much out there about upgrading your decks and how to make it stronger and stronger. So I love when I see somebody who's like, actually, I'm purposefully making it weaker in some ways. I feel like that's a really thoughtful kind of.
I feel like after, you build a deck that can, if you can win consistently by turn 4 or 5, you've turboed out a super powerful deck. I think it becomes a lot more interesting of a deck building challenge to not just go for power.
Yeah.
I want to tell a story, or I want to have this do this funny thing, or I want to create a different type of play experience, and not just especially in Commander, it's you're gonna lose 75% of the time.
Right. Yeah.
Or and so it's just I don't know, maybe the deck doesn't have to it's not that I build purposefully capital W weak decks. I'm still trying to win here, but I'll just I don't know, it's nice to know why I'm not including a card.
Right. Yeah, and I feel like it's honestly kind of more difficult to build decks that are purposefully less powerful, because you kind of have to be more thoughtful about the synergies between the cards instead of just here's the top most played cards on EDH Rec. I just put those in. You don't have to think about it,
Right. Which, I mean, full love to everyone who abides by EDH Rec. I do use it on occasion to kind of source check synergies, but the way that I like building decks, especially to keep things kind of on a budget, is I like going through bulk bins and just seeing what weird 50-cent rares I can make string together and do a silly sentence.
Yeah.
And so the number of times where I'm I need to hunt down this 35-cent rare that no one knows about, but is perfect for this deck. Is it good? No, but I really want to play it.
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm here for. And I feel maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I've been playing long enough that I just know most of the cards out there. So I would rarely be surprised by finding something searching through bulk bins. But that's just not the case anymore. I can't keep track of all of the cards these days, which actually kind of makes it a little bit more fun, because there are all these, like you said, there are all these just super cheap bulk rares that you can find that are secretly going to be really cool or fun in your decks that you're building.
They're the secret good tech is so fucking fun, where it's just that, or the rares that are you played against someone who's been playing for 30 years, and they're I have not encountered this card since it was in Standard. What is going on here? And I'm I haven't been playing all that long. I played a little bit back in high school, but it wasn't until Thanksgiving 2022 that I was no, I'm gonna start playing Magic. I'm gonna get into this. I think I don't even remember it was kind of just as a goof almost, because we some friends and I were having a Transgiving Thanksgiving situation, and we're shopping for Thanksgiving dinner, and we come across this big display of Magic cards, and we're okay, but we should all get like really, really stoned and play Magic. Like that's like I haven't played this in so long. Like we're gonna play Smash Bros and Magic because we're all trans
Yes.
women in our late 20s and early 30s. um, and yeah, so that like got me back into the game, and so I get the fun experience then of like just like encountering crazy cards for the first time and like thinking that I'm like, this is amazing, this is the best card ever printed. And like, and then everyone's like, no, Bugs, it's like basically unplayable. And I'm like, yeah, but it has a funny name. I like casting it.
So good.
Like I love casting Shivan Wumpus.
Oh my god, yes. Exactly. Yep. That sounds like my perfect Friday night also. Like if I had to describe the perfect Friday night, it would be hanging out, playing Smash Bros and learning Magic. That sounds like so much fun.
It was like, I think that this like explains a lot about like the way I play Magic now, was realizing like later on, like the two most recent sets, like Brothers War had just dropped, and before that was Unfree. And I love artifacts and nonsense cards.
Perfect.
Like,
Yeah, that was the ideal time for that, definitely.
not to go on a turbo tangent, but I do adore Brothers War as a limited space.
Ooh. Yeah, I liked that one a lot too. It had kind of a just like giant automatons, kind of like old style sci-fi kind of vibe to it. I really liked it too.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm just like all these like giant common like 6/6 robots that were just thrown into each other, and like Unearth is so sick, and it's like I like just it's everything I like. It's artifacts, it's self-mill, it's weird graveyard shenanigans kind of across every color. I'm like, yes, give me like, and then like, you know, that kind of also got me into like the lore and the flavor of Magic, and I'm like, oh, because like, you know, I played back in high school and it's just like I played friends decks, and I'm like, yeah, it's wizard shit. It's, you know, we're casting spells and hitting each other with dragons, and like, and then it's like, oh, there's a lot going on in this game, and like that just as an inroad to like alternative storytelling. Like it's almost this like comic book-esque presentation of like visual storytelling with like, you know, the little bits of flavor text and all of that. And I'm like, I don't know, it has evolved into something that like is super special for me.
Nice. I love that. Yeah, and I haven't really talked too much about how it's true, like the media kind of like form that Magic tells a story in. If you're not reading like the online stories or like reading the books and stuff, like just looking at the cards is it's a really unique experience, because it's like it's random, right? You never know which cards you'll be looking at and like which flavor text you'll see, and it's kind of like a little bit more of an adventure that way. Like you never really know what parts of the story you'll get. Yeah, that's interesting.
I don't know, just like as a form of like alternative storytelling, like I think, and then like using that as a jumping off point for like deck building. It's like, okay, what sort of a story can I tell or create with this deck? Like, am I, you know, what am I gonna literally bring to the table? Like, beyond just like, yeah, it could be a nonsense pile of super powerful cards, or here's this curated selection of cards where it's like, I want you to have to kind of engage. I want everyone to have to engage with this like as almost like a role-playing experience.
I always think coming to games of Commander with a little bit of that D&D element of like, I'm gonna kind of role play whatever my commander is doing and like what my deck's trying to do, definitely adds a lot. Like I always remember some of the moments that we've had when people really take that and add another layer to it.
It's just like it elevates the game in such a fun, goofy way. And like the deck that I brought to talk about, like I think is kind of like the most expressive version, at least that I've, you know, had the most expressive version of this that I've had the experience to show people. Like, and like kind of force everyone to reconsider how we're going to play this 4-player game, even if it's just like, no, mostly this is just like for me.
Hell yeah. And I'm excited to talk about it. But I've gotten like a little ahead of myself. So yeah, I kind of introduced you a little bit and how we have like similar Magic ideas, and we've already gotten into that a little bit, but will you please introduce yourself also and talk about some of the other cool stuff that you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So hi, I'm Bugs. I am the funny little gay that lives in your phone. I am a artist, filmmaker, Twitch streamer, kind of like just jack of all trades, like what it means to be a goofily public figure in the year 2024, where it's like I'm both just some guy, parentheses, gender neutral, and also have like a massive Twitter following for being kind of hot online and funny. And I think that that's like a very goofy place to like kind of vibe in. But,
so good. Yeah, I love that. And I'm still thinking about Transgiving. Like that sounds so much better than regular Thanksgiving. So I think
I highly recommend Thanksgiving-esque gatherings with found family is just it is so healing, it is so exciting, and it's just it's like it's a cool forum to get up to some goofy nonsense. Like, God, we were up until like 3 a.m, all like struggling through like, because like we'd all played Magic a little bit before, but it's like been easily a decade at least, and we just picked up those like, it wasn't even like, we didn't even buy precons or like precon commander decks. We just bought those like goofy little 60 card like battle set starter kit things that are like, you know, the 2-color kind of synergy things going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just got those and a couple of packs each to like quote unquote upgrade them, and we had no idea what we were doing, and like we were just buying packs based on like just the vibes of the art, where it's like, oh, hot vampires, I'll get vampires, and I'm like, this one has a hamster on it, I'm gonna get the hamster one. And so like, which I also had the experience of like my first like the first mythic I ever opened was Space Bellerin. I cannot explain how the Unfinity Jace works.
Oh my god, yeah.
And just like, I'm like, what the fuck is a quadrant? What's a scepter?
That's so good. Yeah, I would be struggling trying to figure out what any of that means. Getting an Infinity pack.
I will, because I'm like, it's got a cute hamster on it. Or a cute dog. I forget. Was it a hamster? Anyway, yeah, like, I mean, and now I'm to the point where I'm like, okay, but like, what if I tried to build like an Oathbreaker deck around him? Like, is that viable? I don't have enough of a play group locally to like try that, but like
I like the concept though. Like, I'd be down to see that someday. I have no idea what Brawl looks like these days, but I think you're onto something.
Oh,
I like where your thoughts are at.
Is Unfinity Jace on Brawl?
I think it's like, you might have to look it up. It's like individual, like some cards are and some cards aren't. So I'm not sure which ones are which.
Oh my god, if that's on Brawl, I will absolutely build that deck and stream it and be a menace.
Please let me know. Yeah, I know there's like some that are, but not all of them. But okay, so I'm just like, I'm excited to get into this deck because it's one I have brewed a little bit when it first came out. And yeah, anyway, I'm excited to get into it. But before we do, I'm going to do a really quick shout out for one of my patrons at the Conclave Mentor patron level. So thank you so much, Lee, for being a patron. I really appreciate it. And okay, yeah, I think I'm ready to get into talking about one of your favorite decks And my first question is, who's the commander of your deck, and what inspired you to build it in the first place?
All right. So the commander of my favorite deck. It took some soul searching to decide what my favorite deck was. Then I was like, oh wait, no, it's definitely this one. But my commander is Ria Ivor, Bane of Bladehold. And what inspired me to build the deck initially was I had just never brewed anything in Orzhov colors before, and she was like the only legendary that I had in paper, and
Nice.
I'm like, yeah, like I look at her, and for those who aren't super familiar with her, because she is shockingly not like a super popular commander, she's got like a wall of just Yu-Gi-Oh text on her.
Yeah.
That is, I love playing her with new people because it's kind of goofy. Like someone reads it and it's like, okay, but like, what does that do? And so initially, like, I built her just to be like the commander for this angels and demons thing that I wanted to try out. And then I read her, and I'm like I read her and sat with it for a bit, and I'm like, oh, she does like this goofy fog thing and makes a bunch of little guys. I love little guys. Oh my god! And they're little guys they're little guys that bring toxic to the table. I think poison counters are very funny. Unfortunately, that is my toxic trait. They're little guys with an immense, like, just so many drawbacks. It's like, oh, cool. Like, they can't block. They make you the arch enemy. I need to build this deck. Like, this seems like just such a weird, hard way. Like, I am making my life so much harder by playing her. I don't know, just something really excites me about a deck that you kind of have to fight with to get it to work.
Yeah, I really like that too. And I wonder if maybe that's why this isn't a more popular commander, is because people see some of those drawbacks and then they kind of like stop reading. But for me, I think it creates a lot of like interesting decisions that you have to make when you're playing, because so it's at the beginning of combat on your turn. The next time target creature would deal combat damage to one or more players this combat, prevent that damage, and then if you do, you get the 1/1 phyrexian mite with toxic 1 that can't block. So it's like, but she also has battle cry that makes all of your little tokens way stronger. So I feel like there are a lot of cool decisions you have to make. It's like, do I want this damage to go through if it's like getting up to be a lot of damage, or do I want to trade that damage in for more creatures? Like, it doesn't give you everything you want. You have to kind of choose which direction. And I just think that's really interesting.
It's so fun to be like running that calculus, because it's like, oh, cool. Like I can get her up and swing for lethal, or I can just make like the biggest army known to man and then keep a couple cards in hand for that would play against board wipe. So it's like, if I untap, I can kill everyone.
Yep.
Yeah, and so like she's gone through a handful of different iterations over the, like, I guess, year and a half that I've been brewing her. Like I started brewing her like pretty much right when Aldi 1 dropped, because like she's just such a fun commander that like does not give you everything. It just kind of like she just gestures towards a bunch of like possible things, which I find just like such an exciting design space. And then that coupled with like, the lore side of things, like mechanically, she's such a cool iteration on Hero of Bladehold.
Yes. Yeah, that's another thing that we hadn't touched on yet, but the lore implications are really cool, because this is like the phyrexianized version of a previous card.
Yeah. I forget exactly when it came out, but it's the light difference between her and the original is the original's 2 and 2 white pips for a 3/4 with battle cry, that when she attacks, you create 2 tapped and attacking 1/1s. And so this being like this power corrupted, where all of a sudden we have like black mana in here, and she creates these guys that are like conceptually more powerful in that like they can kill you faster because they're toxic, but also they can't block, so they're kind of worse, and also they're on layaway, you don't get them right now. It's like this whole like really flavorful look at like what being completed, like the sort of like the illusion of power that like Phyrexian's like promise, I think is such a cool, like it's such a beautifully designed card.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. It really shows, just like comparing those two cards, that there's so much of the story behind it and like the subtle changes that have been made. I just love it. I agree. I think this is such a cool card. Yeah, and it's a lot more complex than the Hero of Bladehold. It's like you're not just attacking and making tokens, like just a very straightforward mono white situation.
Yeah.
This is a lot spicier. It's like you have all these decisions to make. And I bet do you have to pay attention to your opponents and what they're doing? I feel like it would be interesting it would be interesting to be like, do I want the damage to go through, or do I want more of the creature tokens? But you kind of have to like be paying attention to what your opponents are doing too.
And like the number of times that I've decided I want to go big and go wider, and like it's backfired on me a good number of times, and like that feels cool and flavorful, where it's like I should have just swung for 4 damage. Like I didn't need 4 more little guys, and now I'm just like painting this bigger and bigger target on my back because I'm out here going wide with toxic, and it's, you know, it is an oops all Phyrexians deck. Like that is something that I held myself to. So like every creature needs to be a Phyrexian. Every if I can help it, I've been looking for like cards that have art with Phyrexians in it. But that also means like, yeah, no, I do run all 3 Elish Norns in here. I do run Mondrak. Like this will get out of hand very quickly.
Nice.
If left unchecked. And I don't know, like I've joked that this is kind of my like alt history. What if the Phyrexian invasion was smarter? Like what if March of Machines was like chiller? And so like we were saying a little bit earlier with like the role playing as your commander, it's like cool, you're like Elish Norn's second in command, leading the charge and blowing up the multiverse. Like that's what I want this experience to be, which then has the flip effect of causing 3 unlikely allies to go up against you because they don't want to deal with that nonsense. That is not what they are not here for Phyrexians. Are you kidding?
Right.
I really like decks that cause you to be the archenemy kind of on site. Like I'm here for a good time. I'm not here for a long time. If I die first, that means I was doing everything right.
That's kind of how I play Commander too. I love to just go all out at the very start and become very scary, and then like brag to everyone about how scary I am, and then immediately get killed first.
Yeah. Oh my god. I'm working on an Obeka Splitter of Seconds deck that I want to try to put every bad upkeep trigger in it, and it's just a race to see if I can take someone out before my deck kills me.
I love that. That one's a fun one too, because there are a lot of weird upkeep like triggers you can try to get like 10 of in a turn.
Yeah. Oh my god. Just like getting 15 upkeeps and dying to Demonic Pact.
Yeah, exactly.
Or milling myself out on black market connections.
Okay, I like the sound of that too. So for the Ria Ivor deck, just what is it that you like most about playing this deck?
So I mean, part of it is being a big problem, and another part is it's kind of become sort of like this evolving art piece for me that it's like it's just fun for me to show people like, oh look, I got all of these different like art treatments in it, or look at how all of the basic lands are the really really pretty full art Elena Danner Phyrexia lands. And so just kind of
Mm.
like sharing this experience and also and playing like, because I keep it to the oops all Phyrexians creature list and want it to be kind of creature heavy, like it's fun to just like play goofy draft chaff that most people haven't thought about like since like Aldi One Limited, or even like further going back into like the history of the game and seeing like, oh, this card was like eroded to be a Phyrexian. Maybe I slot it in. It's fun because it's like it's such like it lets me show all of these fun little beautiful things in this card game while also I'm piloting like the biggest glass cannon. Like if everyone lets me cook, I'm gonna do some unhinged nonsense. But like I love just how warping it becomes for my for the table where it's like, oh no, that's dying on site. That's dying on site. You do not get any nice things. Because if you start popping off all of a sudden, like it gets really gross really fast. Like I've more than once I've had tables where I have Mondrek, Glory Dominus, and Essence of Orthodoxy on the field at the same time.
Oh my god.
Which, are you familiar with Essence of Orthodoxy?
So I literally had my mouse like hovered over that because I was going to shout it out at some point. So, I will say I was not familiar at all until I looked at this, and now I'm obsessed with it. So yeah, please tell us what it does.
So this is a 5-mana 3/3 flyer, which whenever it or another Phyrexian enters the battlefield under your control, incubate 2. That does not say non-token Phyrexians.
Oh wow.
I've learned recently, so like I play this deck a lot in paper and both like online and in person, and just for everyone's visual aids, like I've tried to collect like as many physical mite tokens as I can find, because this thing it reasonably has like 20 mites on the field at any given point in time. I only have like 5 or 6 incubator tokens, and that is not enough for Essence of Orthodoxy if I'm allowed to do the funny thing. Okay, so to marinate on that card for like a little bit longer, like that was that's a great example of the bulk bin rare that all of a sudden goes busted in Commander.
Yeah.
Like this thing, like it took me a second to find one in a local shop, because it's just like, no, who cares about this card? It's like it's a cool March of the Machine card that like straight up I think is like under 50 cents right now. Like I came across it by playing my partner had built a deck on Arena that she ran this card in it, and I'm like, hold on, wait, is that like an Alchemy exclusive? No, that exists. Oh geez, this needs to go in Ria immediately.
So good. Yeah.
And yeah, just limiting myself to only keeping Phyrexians in this can just lead to fun shit like that.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think it's cool that you have stuck to a theme with having only Phyrexians in it, but and then that like restricts you in a way so that you're able to find cool cards like Essence of Orthodoxy that you just like this is probably the perfect deck for that card to go into.
In terms of like Commander, I mean, I guess it would go in like some of the other mono white Phyrexians ish, but like that this explicitly wants Phyrexians entering the battlefield, not just like a creature or whatever. And it's like, okay, yeah, you can jam this into something where you're running a Maskwood Nexus and da. Like sure, like you can, everything can be Phyrexians if you want it to, but like it plays so perfectly exactly here. And even among like other legendary Phyrexians, I don't know where like I don't think there's a better home for it. I don't know, it's a very wonderful thing like about Commander. is having an excuse to just get like really, really, really into the nitty gritty of the themes. Like even the mana base is like kind of intentionally not bad, but like definitely worse than it could be because I want to run all of the different sphere cards that came out in all V1. So it's like, so I have like the Mycosynth Gardens and the Monumental Facade and all of these like kind of utility lands that don't really, really go to my game plan. Like they're kind of useful occasionally outside of like the Seed Core. They're all just kind of, and Mirrex, I guess, kind of. They're not really all that good, but like for flavor reasons, I would only cut them for like a very good dual land. Like maybe I could be convinced to cut them for like a shock land or something, but I want to keep this flavor so contained. I think it'd be super funny to try to like get all of those foiled out because it's like, who has a foil the Seed Core? Like, like, but it's a good bit.
Right, yeah. And it's a lot more attainable than trying to foil out like a land base full of like fetches and shocks and stuff like that.
Exactly. And like, so that's like another thing that I try to keep in mind when building a deck is it can be expensive. And so I like, I'd rather have these like really personal approaches to how I'm going to like bling out a deck rather than just like, oh, I want like all, you know, mint condition first printing of this, and this. Only the best and brightest. And it's like, no, I just want to have like, I want to have all my lands match. I want to have all my lands match in a very flavorful way. I'd love to get all those foiled out at some point, but like, that's not like that's not a number one priority. Like, I want to keep the deck just like nice and fun and happy and give it treats every now and then. Allow it to be this sort of like evolving art project rather than like knowing, okay, yeah, here's the final version of it. Or I don't know, just like speaking of like cards that feel like weirdly perfect in like they could find homes in other decks, but like this feels great here, is that a new card from Modern Horizons 3, which is the Metastatic Evangel. Or Metastatic? Metastatic? I don't know how to say it. But that just is kind of a little bit of a proliferation engine. And
oh, nice.
Like, which is like, for the longest time, I was like trying to stay really hard away from putting too much proliferation in this because it's like, oh, that's gonna get mean, that's gonna get nasty, like that makes killing everyone with toxic like way easier. But I had the opportunity recently, I was on Praetors for Change charity stream a couple weeks back.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, if we're all gonna be throwing down and everyone's gonna be doing like evil phyrexian shit, all right, no, we're like building this deck from the ground up, and we're gonna go hard into a proliferation sub theme. We're gonna try to kill people with this thing. That was a blast. That was such a great like event.
Yes, agreed.
Probably my favorite pod of people that I've ever played with, like meeting them all for the first time. Was
I love that.
It was great. Like turn 1, play 1. We had someone get down Sheoldred.
Oh wow.
And it was Swamp Jeweled Lotus, Shelly's here. Let's go. And that just set the tone for the game, and everyone was like, hell yeah, let's like, oh, we're slugging each other. Cool.
That's so good.
I love like when like Commander allows for like that kind of a space where it's like, oh, we're all in hell.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
We got through 3 games in 2.5 hours.
Wow. That's impressive, honestly.
It helps when you have, at any point in time, there were usually 2 Sheoldreds on the field. Then I started casting Howling Minds.
Oh, yep. Very nice.
because I love Howling Mine. I will kill myself with Howling Mine. I don't know. I feel like I've gone on a couple of goofy little tangents.
I love it. Yeah. No, that's fun. I guess kind of along those lines, when you're playing this deck, what are some like weaknesses that it has that you have to watch out for?
Oh, I mean, everyone's gonna try to kill you because you brought Toxic to the table. So that's
yes,
the big one. And even though it looks like it goes wide, I make a lot of guys, they can't block. When it's drawing all of the heat, like you do kind of just have to grin and bear it. And it absolutely does not have enough card draw. I've got a couple decent pieces in it, but it doesn't go quite as fast as I'd like it to. But I'd also like the power level that we're at, and so it's it's just hanging out. It is the biggest weakness is definitely because I've designed it to be oops all scary threats. If it's not someone seeing Toxic, it's oh well, I'm just gonna cast Elesh Norn, and then I'm gonna cast another Elesh Norn, and it's just it's incapable of not bringing heat to itself.
Right.
And that coupled with keeping a lot of cards out of it that would be good finishers or would be really useful. It's in black white, so I could probably put in a decent amount of life gain, but that's usually stapled to empires or other or doing an aristocracy sub theme, and that for me lessens the whole I want this to be role playing a Phyrexian invasion. So why is Teysa Karlov here?
Yeah, that makes sense. And I bet what you said about the way the Phyrexian mite tokens can't block probably is more of an issue than you might expect if you haven't played this deck. You have 20
so
of them
awful.
out, but then somebody's looking to attack you. You actually only have your commander and a couple other creatures that you probably won't block with anyway because you want them. So, yeah.
It's it has Mondrak and also Drivnod Carnage Dominus, so those can pretty quickly become indestructible blockers, which is nice. But I start looking scary pretty quick, and there's not a lot I can do to stop that, and it is all my fault on purpose.
Right, yeah.
I wouldn't be playing a deck like this though if I didn't want that experience. And I think it feels so holistic, where getting Ria Ivor to kind of work in and of itself as a card is sort of this jank pulling teeth situation. Being allowed to exist on the board at all is this sort of jank pulling teeth situation. And it's just I love that it forces this really necessary uphill battle. Unless someone at the table is doing something even scarier, which I will always welcome, where it's oh, you're doing Yawgmoth shit, or not Yawgmoth. Yawgmoth, or I was at a table where someone was doing some unhinged Gix nonsense, and I'm yeah. I all of a sudden it's don't mind me, I'll send the mites their way. They can inadvertently become a kind of good politics piece, where it's if you negotiate with someone who it's okay, I will look scary, but they are scary. They are doing something terrifying. Let me boop you for 7 mites. You're not even going to take any damage. And then all those mites are going their way next turn. With the caveat of you need to do all this politicking out in the open. And that's just most people don't really let me put 7 poison on the board. let me just get some guys. Even just in a vacuum, hey, I'm gonna poke you, I'm gonna fog the damage, and I'm gonna get 7 1/1s. That's a lot of bodies. Not a lot of people want to deal with that.
It's an interesting deal that you could make though, is let me hit you with a bunch of these, and I'll make a bunch more, but the ones I make, I will only send at other people or do something else with. I won't attack you again with them. I think that's a cool like politics strategy that I had not thought of until you just mentioned that. That's really cool.
It adds a really fun dynamic to the game, and then that's also like, hey, you want to ally with the Phyrexians? Like, hey, let's king make a little bit. It's like, here, I'm just gonna like, and I have ways of making creatures unblockable in this, so like that does get around things also. This deck loves the Rogue's Passage. This deck, we've got Skrelv. I love casting Skrelv. He's my perfect little boy.
So cute.
He's so fucking cute. Oh my god. Like, I straight up like half the reason why I built this deck or have it in its current form is just because like getting the chance to cast Phyrexian creature spells and just like saying their names is so like they all just sound so evil in the most perfect campy ways where it's like Skrelv, the Defector Mite. Like
yes.
Like, yeah, I want to say Massacre Worm. Yeah, I want to say Grafted Butcher.
Bloated Processor. Like
Bloated Processor.
You can tell these are the villains, yeah.
Yeah, like they just sound so fucking evil. I like
so good.
Brimaz, Blade of Oreskos. Hell yeah.
So good.
Like, it's like nothing makes me feel like I become the most like 13-year-old boy about this. Like, I'm like, no, I'm gonna hear my evil like fucking Hellraiser looking demon creatures. We're gonna poison you to death. Get fucked, nerds. Like,
it's so good. It feels good to be the villains sometimes, and so I love that you've stuck with that theme and you're like playing the deck that way. All of the cards feel evil, the lands look evil. Like, I love this.
Like, I've cut cards that are otherwise good because the art features a Phyrexian getting killed.
Like, yeah, I can't have that.
No, we're winning.
So good.
Like, if Commander is, like if we're one of the tenets that we're thinking of it is this like forum for self-expression, and like especially if you're like meeting someone for the first time, it's like, you go to an LGS and you're playing with like a bunch of randos. It's like, oh, this is your first introduction to me. You're getting poison mites out of it. Like, I feel like that's just such a like, hi, I'm Bugs. Look at all of my bugs.
Yes. The perfect way to get to know you.
It's, I'm treating Magic like prop comedy, and the cards say that I kill you now, I guess.
Yep. That's so good. So, okay, I want to talk more about some of the specific cards in the deck.
Yeah.
If you had to pick one that you think is like the MVP or the most synergistic card in the deck that just like makes everything function, what do you think that card would be?
Oh gosh. Like, I mean, like, Mondrak makes my life easier. Absolutely. Ooh. Which is like let's double these frickin' tokens.
So good.
But like, it's that like there's just actually no definite MVP card if we're talking like, oh, the game's just like we're winning this turn. Let me find it. It's this uncommon enchantment that I think I found in like, I bought like a pile of bulk from a game store, and this was just in there, and I'm like, oh shit, this is my entire personality, and it's Behind the Scenes.
Oh yes, I love this card.
Which gives everything Skulk, or gives all my stuff Skulk, and most people aren't sticking with 1/1s. Like if you're doing any sort of go wide, like you're probably putting counters on those things. You're probably running a bunch of like creature buffs. And so like because of this card, I've like cut out a lot of things that like net buff all of my guys, because now all of a sudden I can just like throw, here's 10 unblockable poison coming at your face.
So good.
Comedy.
Yeah. Like, I feel like it's just easy in black and white to put in like the anthems like you were saying and make your all of your little creatures really, really big. But I really like that that's not really what this deck wants to do at all. It actually just wants them, like, it doesn't care how big they are since they just have Toxic 1 no matter what. Like, you really just need to get them through. And this is perfect.
Like, it is absolutely a champ. And, like, there is some kind of, like, non-bow stuff with it where I have, like, Sculpted Perfection can bite me in the ass. Elish Norn, Grand Cenobite can bite me in the ass. And it's like, it is actually now harder for me to get through, like, because I can't, there are 3/3s now. Well, everyone has 3/3s. It's Commander.
Right, yeah.
Like, but I would say that behind the scenes is probably, like, that can all of a sudden really warp how scary I look. Like, that is ideally, not playing that on curve. Do not want people to know that that's what's coming down. Build up even just like 8 mites. Cool. I can send 2 or 3 at everyone. And then all of a sudden it's like we've got corruption online and I'm able to start like slowly popping off. I think the biggest downside of it is it does not just pop off. It will do something really scary one turn and then says, okay, everyone, be really cool. Let me untap with this. Just be cool. Be cool. It's fine. I have 25 toxic mites. And they all have skull. Yeah, it's fine. Be cool. No, do not. And I get cyclonic rifted.
Yep. Sounds about right.
And it's like, no, you were right to do that. But, like, man, I can't have shit.
So good. Just let me have my horrifying, like, skinless, like, muscles, little bug army. Don't worry about it.
Let me show you more teeth than you've ever possibly imagined. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry. Just let me untap.
So good.
No.
Nice. Oh, behind the scenes is just such a sick choice for MVP. I love that so much.
It's so goofy.
It's so goofy. Yeah, that's so good. And we've definitely talked about a few of these, but are there any other kind of like pet cards in this deck that you want to shout out that that we haven't talked about yet?
Hi, my name is Bugs, and I build some suboptimal decks. By which I mean to say, I have both the Phyrexian Obliterator and Phyrexian Indicator in this deck because I love them. They're my perfect baby boys, and they both cost 4 monocolor pips.
Oh, so cool.
Which is that plus like Massacre Worm. Like I love things that are kind of hard to cast because when they resolve, if someone lets me, like, Phyrexian Obliterator is gross as hell. Phyrexian Indicator or Vindicator Indicator. Kind of bad card that rules and looks like a fucking demonic superhero. Like, again, it gets back to like the 13-year-old boy, like, nonsense brain go burr. Like, it's like, is it good? No, but it's sick as fuck.
Yeah, it also like scratches something in my brain that's like the parallels between them just make me so happy. The way they're both 4 mana 5/5 Phyrexian horrors with like different keywords. Black one has trample, white one has flying, and then they both have like a similar effect that punishes your opponents for dealing damage to them.
Yeah, it's
so good.
Yeah, it's like, no, don't touch this. don't touch it. If you touch it, something funny's gonna happen. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, like I was gonna say, like in the Vindicator, just like there aren't a lot of decent Phyrexians with flying, and so that he's like a great way to start like generating more mites.
Hmm.
Especially if I like throw a couple pieces of like equipment on him, all of a sudden he's like, a 7/7 that's flying around, and I'm like, cool. So I can be throwing the mites places, attacking with Ria, and also just not like he's the mite guy. Like I can throw these mites at you, and maybe they're gonna crash into something and die, but like he does a decent amount of work for me. He's a good
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah, and these two, I bet, are, since they punish people for doing damage to them, they're probably really good blockers, which is definitely something this deck needs when all the
Yes.
tokens can't block.
Yeah. Yeah. Like just having the obliterator, just like having that threatened, it's all of a sudden it's like, okay, yeah, okay, you got a 20/20. Yeah,
Yep.
you wanna come on. Like
So
it's
good.
like the entire deck just lets me be that one tweet that's like I'm the birthday boy. Like it's like, why are you bullying me? It's my birthday.
Yeah.
Like, but also be like kind of a shit. It's great. It's I
Exactly. Okay, I'm curious about this next one. Do you have a favorite like in-game moment that you've had while you were playing this deck?
Yes, asterisk. I was not the one playing it. My partner was. But
Ooh,
this
okay.
was. I love that both my partners play Magic. It's very fun. Like first off, that's just like a fun like couples hobby to have. And we always like swap decks around, and it's so fun to like you know see someone really cool building like playing a deck that you built, and like they're popping the fuck off with it. But we're at a table, and she is kind of popping off with it, and because she's kind of popping off with it, she is getting just she's drawing the heat of everybody. um
Yep.
I think this is like turn 7 or 8. She's down to literally 1 health, and I'm like, okay, like as soon as you untap, like I'm finishing this. Like I am not dealing with you. You've got like 12 mites. This is gonna suck. Um, and she hail marys a breach the multiverse,
Ooh.
and this was she hits a card that I have since cut from the deck because it wasn't on flavor. But I had it in because I wanted to see this happen at least once. Um, she hits, among other things, Moonshaker Cavalry
Oh.
from Wilds of Eldraine, which is the white Craterhoof type guy.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, she kills the entire table with a bunch of like flying 15/15 mites.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, like that is just so like from the brink, like everything like that went perfectly, like, and that is just exactly what I want to see this deck do. And so, like, I don't know, like getting to see it do the thing and losing to it is such a fun experience. Like, I love losing to decks that I've built. I love seeing
Yes.
someone pilot something like it's like I didn't even know this deck could do that. What the fuck?
I love that too. Yeah, we'll like the play group I have in person will frequently play each other's decks just for fun, and I love
Yeah,
seeing what weird stuff people get up to when they're playing one of my decks. I think that's so much fun.
it's so just like rewarding to see someone like having fun with the deck that you designed. Like,
Yes, yeah.
and like especially for me, like a lot of the decks that I'm building are like they're weird commanders that like, you know, Ria being a perfect example, like it's I tend to build things that have like maybe 1,000 decks on EDH rec, and
Hmm.
then try to really ignore how EDH rec says to build them. And so it's just like, I'm going to give you an experience with Magic that like you didn't know you could have.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Thank you. I don't know. I built this goofy Esper artifacts deck because I'm like, I think I'd like blue, black. Like I'd never played anything in Esper, and I'm like, I think I'd really dig this color combo. I started playing as just like Gruul Stompies, and now I'm like nonsense control player, which I've become worse as a person. But like, you know, I'm looking around online to see like how people built this, and it's like, okay, yeah, like artifacts matter, big robots, okay, and I'm like, I'm gonna do just unhinged graveyard nonsense and mill with this. Like, no one's gonna know how to deal with this thing. It is terribly off flavor because it's a Panos Solemn Survivor deck that has so many phyrexians in it.
Of course, yeah.
But it's like the main way that wants to win is like Bolas Citadel, Grey Merchant of Asphodel, like this goofy combo that you can just like keep playing him over and over and over again.
Fun.
Like it's gross, it's a goofy, but like that plays nice with the way he's. If you haven't seen this card, like he's also, I would say, kind of like similar to Ria in the like, okay, but what does this thing do? Like that's just like a weird. It's a commander that like give you some suggestions, but it's not gonna like do the thing and have the payoff for the thing.
Right. It like doesn't hold your hand through building the deck.
Yeah. It's not like a Voja type design.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good comparison.
Which, I'm a fan of the dog. I think the dog is big and stupid and love how mad it makes everyone. And like, but and like, you know, and that's not to say like if that's, you know, someone's like deck build style, like if that's what they gravitate towards, like I love that because like, you know, play the decks that make you happy to play. It makes me happy to play decks that are kind of jank and don't always work. But like if you like a good consistent like does everything good stuff deck, like I wouldn't want people to not have that experience.
Yeah. This is why we get along so well, because I just fully agree with everything you just said.
Hell yeah. No, but like people have asked me, it's like, oh, what commanders do I hate? Or like what cards do I not want to play against? And there's like one card that I hate playing against. You know, I play more removal because of it. It's
right.
Ensnaring Bridge. Like, please let me turn sideways. Please let me turn the cardboard sideways. I'm fine with propaganda type effects. I'm fine with everything, but I'm like, so many of my decks are built on attack triggers. Please.
Yeah.
Please, my decks, they're starving.
I love that. I hate to say it, but we've already come to my last question for you about this deck.
Oh, no.
I know. But yeah, I'm excited to hear your thoughts on it. And it's, what advice would you give to other players out there who are interested in building this deck?
Ask all of your friends for all of their mite tokens because no one's building anything with mite tokens, and you're going to need so many mite tokens, like way more than you fucking think. Like you're going to want like at least 10 or 15, and you're not going to think that this deck's going to make as many mites as it does, but it's really going to make a lot of mites. So bother all of your friends. Ask for mite tokens. But on a more serious note, there's so many fun ways that you can build her, and I think that not going with the so I've built her in this kind of goofy Phyrexians Matter Voltron way, but you could also, I would be like so excited to see like someone looks at this and it's like, oh, I can make a bunch of creatures with this. I can make like a ton of bodies. Oh my god, I'm doing some aristocrats nonsense. I would totally encourage someone to like go down that route. Take advantage of the fact that she doesn't handhold and see like what play style like what part of this speaks to you, because it's like I would love to see someone totally ignore the mite situation. It's just like, okay, I have a commander with battle cry. Like I'm just gonna go, like I'm gonna be making mites, but I'm just putting like every black or white card that makes a bunch of little creatures, and just like I want her to go wide as hell. Take advantage of the fact that it doesn't handhold, and like really, really, really try to key into what little bit of her situation like speaks to you. And I mean, like, God, I would love to see like a sort of like ladies looking left type deck built around her, where it's like everyone needs to be on horseback, like every
Ooh.
creature's on horseback. Like,
Yeah, that would be pretty hot. I like that.
that'd be awesome. Like, yeah, just like fill it with goofy knights. Like, I mean, the horseback one, that would be a great place to put the hero of Bladehold in, which would break my brain for lore reasons, but like would also be sick as hell.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I really like what you said about how it's just such an open-ended commander that like asks you to make a lot of decisions while you're playing, but really you can like build it a whole bunch of different ways and take advantage of like different sides of which decisions you want to make and how you want to do it. And I think that's really cool. I think that makes it for a really fun like deck building and playing experience.
Yeah, no, like there's a lot of tools that it like provides with you, where it's like I don't even know if someone could take advantage of this, but I'm curious like if you could do something with like the fog effect that she has. If there was like some weird combo that someone could come up with, just like on things that like attack, but then, you know, damage is prevented. Like, is that a thing that speaks to you? Like, for me, it's she makes a bunch of little guys. Yeah, like because she doesn't do everything for you, I think it's cool that there is no like definitely optimal way of building her. There's some things that I'm like, well, these seem like I think that these are obvious cards to put in it, and I run them, but like someone else could be like, oh no, that doesn't like that goes opposed to how I would want to go about building this commander. Like that seems like, is it kind of suboptimal for me to have all three Elish Norns in the deck? Sort of, but I like Elish Norn.
Right.
So, biggest piece of advice I would give, I think, is does this spark joy in an evil way? If it does, put it in the deck. Like, you can be evil in a cartoon villain way, you can be evil in a stacks way, you can be evil in like a life drain way, but just pick something kind of evil.
I like it. I think that's honestly the perfect kind of like final thought for this deck.
Yeah.
to be
True.
evil and know that this is a deck that will make you feel like you're the villain.
If it just, oh my god, it is. If decks are role-playing opportunities, that you get to be the most evil person at the table. It's great.
So good. I love it. Nice. Well, Bugs, thank you so much for letting me ask you a whole bunch of questions about one of your favorite decks. I really liked this one.
Oh my god, thank you so much for having me. This has been a blast. I love any excuse to talk about Magic writ large. It's a great game.
Yeah, same. I could do it all day long. I love it so much. So
Hell
yeah. So as we kind of wrap things up, where is it that people can find you out there? And do you have like anything coming up that you'd like to shout out?
Let's see. So you can find me on most of the socials. So Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, all at Bugs Matrix. That's Matrix with a Y. And, you know, you can find me shit posting about Magic, being a goober online. I've been getting really into streaming, like, there's a million games that I've never gotten to play, like that just like missed me as a kid. And so if you want to see me experience potentially your favorite video games for the first time, I've been playing through Fallout New Vegas on Twitch, and
Ooh, fun.
That's really really cool to see for the first time. And yeah, and as far as anything upcoming, I unfortunately will not be going to most of the major Magic Cons coming up because that's like a money thing, and I'm in the Midwest and they aren't super close.
Very reasonable, yeah.
I am gonna try to go. This is a while from now, but gonna try to go to CubeCon. That's just over in Wisconsin.
Nice. Okay.
But that's October. So coming up, I don't know. Catch me on Twitch. Catch me on Twitter.
Perfect. I love it, and I'll have links to those sites. Definitely Twitch. I don't think I'm following you there yet, so I need to go do that immediately.
Yeah. No. I need to get better about streaming consistently, but it's a good bit.
I love it. Nice. Yeah. So yeah, I'll have links to those in the episode description. But yeah, anyway, thank you one last time for coming on and recording this with me. Yeah, I really appreciate it. And yeah, and thank you out there, everyone else, for listening. I always shout out at the end all of my patrons at the All That Glitters level, and I have one, Jeff. Thank you so much for being a patron. I really appreciate it. And yeah, thanks everyone for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.